Tomb has looked ugly. Double support would slay on a map like Tomb and the Spider Queen. Suddenly, you go to Infernal Shrines, there's a chance. It's a lower one, but it's a chance.
I'm remembering a time when MVP Black struggled with Shrines heavily, and that was the time, the age of L5. So that's why I thought maybe you'd be a little more excited to see that Soul Torturers maybe remembers that time as well.
Maybe. You know, there have been, depending on the moment that you look at MVP Black, quite a few kind of fallouts here. Illidan being banned for MVP Black's already a bit concerning, but it shows at least their paradigm has shifted a smidge. Does that mean Kerrigan has to come out? What is the carry now for Rich? Malthael is maybe my first glance, but I'd like the risky Kerrigan, you know?
Malthael. The possibility of Medivh as well.
Medivh, yes. I think Malthael gives you kind of that backup of like, man, I'm having a really tough time staying alive in these team fights. It's really good thing I have all these little minions around me, these skeletal defenders. I can heal off these guys if I miss everything else with my W. So, you know, it's things like that that I'm just not sure where we sit yet with MVP Black. I'm telling you, my entire focus has been on Rich's heroes so far. And a turn of the tables here, Gilly.
Yes, I wondered if maybe Soul Torturers were testing to see if MVP Black would want to get that Ariel. But it's hard to give up, especially when you've seen the strength, when you've just lost to it.
Dread, so no first pick Genji, and obviously I think this is one of Genji's weaker maps, trying to hit those shurikens amongst a lot, and we've seen kind of a fall off of Genji. But if you're Soul Torturers, you don't necessarily feel inclined to have to go that route if you see an Oriole on the other side, right?
No, you don't. You can go into it. The only time I would suggest it at this position in this type of draft would be if you have the Dahaka, which is already locked in, at least a winning global. Because then when you're drawing aggro during first Shrine Phase 1 and 2, you no longer are just kind of dancing around looking for a risky play. You try and bait the Dahaka into an overcommitment into his 1v1. Suddenly a Genji's there, you can turn the tides, and you can do that all the way through the later stages of the game. But they're going to opt out of that here. This is one of the highest Dahakas we've seen all day, and it's without a doubt one of the most satisfactory due to the fact that MVP Black banned out the Illidan. The question is, who's going to be the matchup?
Tread satisfied, by the way.
He's satisfied, but I'm surprised the opposite way, because I know he doesn't like the Dahaka Tassadar pairing too much. But
me neither. I heard it last week, buddy.
In this case, they felt like they had to deny Tassadar from Ariel, because you give an Ariel Tassadar and then a hyper carry, and things become very difficult. So they had to take that. Stitches and Rhaegar. Ooh!
MVP Black, it seems like they've morphed the same way I saw Glaurung, Skimmy, and Dreadnought morph last week.
How was that?
The evolution.
Okay, I get it. That's a Reddit meme. I understand these words. Well, yes, they are evolving. They are adjusting, but, I mean, looking at that lower left player cam, it's not looking too comfortable. Rich with his head down. Cho'Gall is going to be banned out. Not a ban I necessarily assumed there, but I don't necessarily hate it, especially with the Ariel.
You got to remember, though, Soul Torturers are from Taiwan, where we do see a fair amount of Cho'Gall, and there has been some from Korea, even. MVP Black played it versus Blossom once. Granted, it felt more like a, you picked Cho'Gall and beat us one game, so now we need to show you how it's done kind of Cho'Gall pick.
Dread, whether it's been in sports or video games, there's something about losing to where like you want to come out and prove a point, right? So the mentality is I want to come out, I want to prove a point that's like, this isn't the way it's supposed to be, I'm better than this. Yeah. That can sometimes lead to tilt if you come out and you misfire, say, the second game, third game. And the faces right now of MVP Blacks, they're on that verge of like, I need to prove something, but gosh dang, man, we're down a game.
I think the biggest thing is that a lot of people fail to realize when you are that frustration, oftentimes people think that's to try and prove to Soul Torturers.
It's proven to yourself.
Exactly. It is, you're trying to make sure that your kind of idea of how the world was is still true, and that you are not going to essentially be humbled at that moment in time. And right now, MVP Black is very much, I feel like, humbling themselves, and the fact that they have gone not just double support, it is double full support, synergizing with the Ariel and committing to the Stitches. Granted, the Stitches has been a hot topic. Every team here, that one isn't necessarily them accepting anything, but very much that high Rhaegar is.
And because of that morality, because of those faces, I think it's safe to say that this game holds extra weight to MVP Black. This is extra important. Being down 2 games on the verge of elimination, after losing a Tempest when you didn't think that that was going to happen, after and possibly losing to Soul Torturers, a team that they maybe didn't even study, they maybe didn't even consider as a worthy opponent. This game is very important to MVP Black.
I like the Tyrael pickup for a lot of reasons, in the sense that one hero that you would fear out of Rich on Infernal Shrines could be that Kerrigan with that double support.
The wait is over.
But Rich, obviously, he's like, man, I don't get to play any of the heroes I want to play. This is my player cam.
I really like the Tyrael because even though I accented the Dahaka, and you guys know, after my rant about the Tassadar Dahaka essentially filling kind of the same role of Dahaka and who you want the Tassadar to be with, Tyrael makes up for a lot of the problems of that, because now you're no longer committed to a frontliner who doesn't have enough damage, but he provides enough cross-supporting to make the Tassadar not seem as awkward either. Granted, it's still maybe not optimal, but I do not hate it nearly as much now that we see that come online. And we got ourselves the last pick, Stukov. Into a double support. I don't dislike the Stukov. I personally feel like Stukov and Malfurion are some of the best heroes into it. Any AoE, so silence is awesome to make sure that one of the two supports does not get their heroics off. Because part of the reason double support's so effective, we know, is that if you can buy the time in between Ariel's heal 1 and heal 2 while the battery's prepping, it's a really hard time. But if you can silence that other support, Ariel, we know, as on her own, is not 10 out of 10 the ultimate support to kind of keep a team alive.
Jeha, who is Rich playing?
That's a good question. I mean, it seems like it should be the Arthas, and maybe Sake would flex over to either the Ariel role, but I guess we're going to find out. And it is going to be Rich on that Arthas as we're headed into game number 2 here, Gilly. MVP Black versus Soul Torturers.
In the blue, down the first game in this best of 5, we have MVP Black. Rich playing Arthas, Reset on Cassia, Kyocha playing Ariel, and we have the rest. Yeah,
we have the rest, because Soul Torch is going to be on the right in red, as Zola will be on that Stukov. Goddog trying to reclaim that same magic from game number 1 on the Gray main, so we'll keep a close eye on him. And Bowie, after going from Illidan, heading over to Dahaka, same kind of style to Split Soak, but very different heroes.
That'll mean that Sake plays the Rhaegar, and rounding things out, Tist playing Stitches. Bowie brush stalking to the mid, and catches Rich right away.
Hey guys, Team Face Check just left last series, but we've got ourselves a face check and a fight here to start off the game 15 seconds in.
Nice bio kill switch from Zola to ensure that he can start healing everyone back up, despite a lot of the area of effect damage. And Zola definitely has his work cut out for him versus all the area damage between Reset, between Rich, these big damage dealing heroes.
Everything pretty standard across the board here. I like the fact that in the Eastern region we've seen a lot more into the Psystorm build for Tassadar. It works incredibly well on this battleground as well. When we talk about the objectives, we see Goddog going in, and there's Rich as well. They've got the slow as Stukov going in, and Gilly. Rich is in trouble here.
He's in trouble. Oh. It's a 3-man Howling Blast. It's a miracle Howling Blast to survive. Weighted Pustule not catching him, so he won't be able to slow him down there, and Rich gets out A-OK, denying first blood to ST.
I bet he's like, I probably shouldn't have lived there, but I'm really glad that I did.
Yeah, I would not look at that situation and be like, yay, go me. I mean, maybe the Howling Blast, like, woo, but at the same time, they likely would not have.
He baited it in to hit his questing stacks. Yeah. Come on, Gilly. We got to think like Rich right now. I'm just assuming that that's what he did.
I was spending the last couple of seconds thinking like Rich.
I'm trying to salvage that.
We've got level 4 on the way for both of the teams. And a Shrine about to activate in 10 seconds. There's the Lurking Arm Silence. We've got Growing Infestation. So that growth will grow 50% more over a couple of seconds as it is able to sit out there. And it becomes a lot easier for Zola once he is able to allow it to keep staying there and persist after once he gets that at 13, that talent, because then he isn't so stationary, and that is one of the situations, the problems for him, especially since he's up against the Stitches and the Arthas.
Dahaka staying in the top for the moment, trying to get 4 as they have now locked that in. So look for the teams to engage here. Goddog screams, I need healing as Stukov comes over, and now they're going in, trying to put the pressure on to Reset, who's got the blinds in return.
A really good blind. Now Goddog's going to reinitiate, but Bowie finds himself in the middle of Rich's slow. That'll take him out for first blood. That
body blocking was impeccable there by Rich. Scroll staying in there as well as the dimensional shift's going to go out there by Cucumber. He's going to try and get out of there, but the hook's going to land, pulling back in. That's going to be the second kill of this fight here, Gilly.
looks like angry MVP Black. Getting a couple of kills already at the start of the first Shrine phase. They're going to hold off on taking the Shrine for now, sending Tist in. Ideally, they have done some structural damage already in this lane, so being able to make sure that there's less of an easy way of defending this, lets MVP get an even bigger lead. And even just 3 minutes into the game, they're looking at a level lead over ST, which is a great place to be in.
Yeah, it's a really big thing. And the fact that Rhaegar, they were able to leave him in the top for the big portion of that when that first started, they didn't feel the necessity to bring him down to stay up there. Zola, I think, might have overstepped his boundaries there. Gilly, this is going from one level. This is starting to spiral out of control real quick. Yeah,
the snowball has started for MVP Black, and they can feel it. As they said, this is very important game for them to be able to win. And all this time, MVP Black has just had Sake soaking back and forth, which you can do with the Rhaegar. It's one of the best benefits of having Rhaegar as a support. And they don't have to have him with the team because they still have the support in their 4-man.
Of all the heroes, very rarely to be like, man, I'm getting mad value on that double lane soak Rhaegar, but they've done it. Yeah, Lightning Bond level 1 makes it so much easier. Slap that totem down, let's go.
Almost got hit by the gank there, but recognizing that some of ST were coming up, really he was the best choice for ST to try to find some free experience to get back into the game. ST, for now, just need to get 7 and need to find those opportunities as best they can before MVP Black hits 10.
You know, I think one thing to keep in mind as well for Soul Torturers, you look at their composition. You know, you've got Cocktail, you've got the level 7 questing talent, you've got Stukov trying to get that extra healing on his bio kill switch at 4. You've got Tassadar trying to get the extra damage. They have a lot of really impactful questing talents that are going to come in as we've got Bowie coming in on the backside here on Dahaka.
Yeah, he's hoping that he can go in. Detainment Strike throws him back, Drag connects, but Tist is fine. The rest of MVP Black hoping they can step forward. They have been sieging along with this Cosmo camp for a long time, but that's silent.
Oh, they're going in. Rich is still walking around in there, but the AoE damage is, we're going to see Tyrael is going to fall, and God Dog's going to be the second to fall as Reset goes in on Cassie with that Finn and confirms the kill. That is a 3-for-0 trade. Gilly, 2-level lead now.
Oh man, so generally Reset likes to take Inner Light because of stuns. He's able to drop the blind on top of himself. Got Ring of the Leech though this time, so he has the self-healing from that. And then he has been so good at throwing down the blinds when it matters the most. He drops the blinds. Bloodlust.
I'm over here dancing like, Gilly, look. Look what we've got. We've got a Bloodlust Rhaegar.
But to continue my point, he drops the blinds at the perfect moment when Greymane dives on top of him, and then that gives all of the time necessary for one of the 2 supports to be able to heal him back up every single time. And now Soul Torturers have to deal with a 2-level disadvantage and Bloodlust. MVP Black are hoping they can go for a quick and aggressive win in this game number 2.
They're trying to get a pick. They're trying to get some ounce of credibility here, but Rich has that army of the dead, and Putrid Bio slowing everybody down as the lightning ball is bouncing around. Zola's going to take damage. God Dog, he's going to be lucky if he gets out of there alive. That's 2 members down, and Zola running for his life. Tis should have it. There it is. There's the hook, and there's the kill.
Man, Ball Lightning plus the area damage that we talked about earlier on from Cassius, Stitches with the slams, Arthas too. When ST want to be able to group up for the Sanctification, after that's done, if they're grouped up in a way of being able to pass the Stukov heals or the Sanctification, and they're able to hit with all that damage, you can see how fast the health bars of ST just disintegrate under the pressure of MVP Black.
You know, it was rough. We saw them go for the gank, and then they're like, boy, I don't know if Arthas is the best target, but, you know, it was a good call trying to get, you know, some experience back a little bit. They're still trying to look for a few kills, but the Howling Blast, again, by Rich is going to lock people down.
The best thing going for ST is that they have not lost any keeps yet, but MVP Black are hoping to change that. If, again, it kept the split soak Rhaegar off in the Shrine this time, clearing that out. ST are going to get a little bit of counter-aggression, counter-pressure with the camp, but they still don't have heroic abilities, J-How, and this Shrine is all but complete.
You made the perfect point. That's exactly what MVP Black is going to be looking for, is to get that keep. One way to deter that is have heroics on your side. They realized the bottom lane was pushed out a little bit, but they were so afraid to step out in lanes that they're missing valuable XP. And so they're going to try and get 10 in the meantime, but is it going to be before that Punisher gets on that wall, and will you have time to set up that defense that you so desperately need right now?
MVP know that 005 is up in the top lane, pushing along with the Shaman. We're going to step forward, take out the gate, and move on in. Silence up in front of the keep, but again, Zola has to watch for his positioning because of the stitches. Here's the hook.
My. The Howling Blast into the hook. They're not able to get the follow-up that they want as Scrolls come in as well. The ball lightning bouncing around on the backside, putting up the pressure, but down comes Sanctification, Gilly.
Sanctification and God Dog jumps in on top of it, but it's already over, and the damage still remains on the back line of ST as MVP Black drops the Bloodlust, catches with a hook, takes out
Oh my goodness. We're 8 minutes in. They've got their eye on the core, and just like that, Bloodlust went out. They've got all this damage. And Gilly, MVP Black, we said they're either going to come out angry or they're going to go out and be tilted. I think we got our answer here in game number 2.
And I love it that we have angry MVP Black back in action. It was a quick game. Hopefully we don't have the swap of the low morale on Soul Torturers, but I think they probably expected that if things go awry in the early game, that this is a distinct possibility to happen versus a team that is world class like MVP Black.
When you're not satisfied with your own performance yet, you look like that. MVP Black is like, look, we got to do this a few more times, best of 5. Moved on from the best of 3, but it's got to feel good to get that win under your belt.
What'd you think of that game, Dread?
I mean, another doozy we got here. It's just continuing the trend of very polar performances from MVP Black, going from looking unstoppable and then having other games where it's a heavy struggle. The biggest thing I want to focus on going forward is what does that mean for the drafting? That was a double support pulled out. It obviously looked very high impact. Do they continue down that trend, or they immediately go, now that it's tied back up, let's just do what we do best, go back into the Illidan, go back into the traditional aggression, and proceed to move forward?
Well, we're going to take a break after that game number 2. We are all tied up 1-1 between MVP Black and Soul Torturers. We'll go to game number 3 after this.